Well, welcome back. Today's kind of a fun day. We're going to be digging footings and removing some of the subgrades for gravel and that sort of thing. So what we got here, we did get one transfer load. That's 2 dump trucks, and we got another load coming later this afternoon. And so I'm going to be grabbing the skid steer, and I'm gonna remove all the vegetation. So I'm gonna go down about 6 inches so we get below that vegetation root line, and then that way I can put gravel on it. So you can see where I've been. We got footings laid out. Okay, I'm gonna end up having to relay those out. Ideally is I'm using the mini excavator, which I will be doing later, but right now it's getting some alternator work done to it, so we'll be using that later. So meanwhile, I'll use the skid steer, and my plan is to remove this grass vegetation in this area right here, spread some gravel, and then of course I'll have to relay out my footing lines, but that's just what it is. But since I got my batter boards all done the other day, all 4 corners I can resurrect and recreate. So you know, I'll do that after I remove the vegetation, start adding some soil, some gravel. So plus, since my footing's right here, I'm gonna use that excavator and I'm gonna carve into it, so it's gonna be easier to dig with the mini excavator. So there's that, and then as well as kind of do the same thing, but on this other side right here, kind of dig into it, so when I have my tracks on it, I'm straddling both sides of that footing so that I can dig it a little better. So my footings for this are going to be 2 foot wide, 10 inches deep. So I want to over excavate it a little bit so I can have my forms. You know, I could do a neat line footing, but which is concrete against the soil, but I don't want to do that because I want to have a hung stem wall and do my stem wall, my footing all monolithically. So so I want to have a form there. So that's just what part of it. And then once I'm in here digging, I can just reach over, grab the gravel, spread it right here, because right in this area here is going to be a sidewalk, and as well as these pad footings. So, you know, instead of it being all muddy, I want it to be gravel around it. So I think that'll just make it easier throughout the process. So that's the plan for today. So let's stop talking, let's go get started. So just when you think you're ready to start digging, something else gets thrown in the mix. So my order of wood, my lumber got here, so I had to mess around with this. So I got a bunch of 2x10s and 2x4s and a whole unit and a quarter of 2x6s. So we'll be unloading it with the skid steer, which is pretty awesome. I appreciate my neighbor Joe for loaning me that skid steer and his mini Traco. So 2x10s are going to work great for the footing form. 2x6s are going to be for the stem wall form, and then also then I'll be reclaiming the 2x10s for floor joists and headers. So that's why I bought all that gravel, so you guys can climb it. That's what boys do, and girls, but in this case, boys climbing. So anyhow, with the 2x6 stem wall, I'm gonna use them, and then I'm gonna reclaim them, try not to cut anything, and use them for framing. So rather than using plywood for my stem wall when I won't be able to reuse it, I'm deciding to use 2x6s for my stem wall form. So I think it's gonna work out great. So we'll see. At least I planned it through so far that everything seems to be working so far, and I haven't even started. So However, for looking to get our grade, so what I need to dig down to is the bottom of not just the footing, but there's going to be 6 inches of gravel on the bottom of the footing. So I got to go an additional 6 inches. So I kind of made a little drawing right here. I got 6 inches of gravel, 10-inch footing, 1 3/4 inch spreader, which is also my hung form of my stem wall is going to be on. That will be pressure treated, so 3/4, 5.5 inches for a 2x6, a 2x6, and then a 2x4 up at the top. So all of that equals 31.25 inches. What it's all driven from was this SSDB, the 24 inches. So right here in this corner is a hold down that the engineer calls for, and there's also one on that end. And the minimum embedment length for that bolt is 20 inches. Well, it also needs 3 inches on the bottom for clearance between the bottom of the footing and the hold down itself. So all of that adding up with trying to stay with the correct spacing of my 2x6s, so I can utilize not ripping, not cutting, all that sort of thing. That's the measurement that I'm going to go off of. And as you can remember from the previous video, I just picked this spot right here. That designates my benchmark. 2 inches above that will be what our finished floor is going to be at, which is what the top of our stem wall is going to be at. So I'm going to set up the grade rod 2 inches up, and then coming back down that 31.25 inch to get down to the bottom of the gravel. And then what we're going to step it at is 2 2x6s, which is right about 11 inches. So and I should be taking into account about 1/4 inch between a few of them for our snap ties, but we'll see how that goes. I might have to go just about a 1/2 inch to an inch deeper, because we're going to have several snap ties as we get further down. So our steps are going to be probably 11.5 inches then, because of those snap ties, depending on where we're at. So all right, so I got my laser set up. Now turn this on and find where it's set at. Which is right there. Pencil. So I got a mark right there. I got to go up 2 inches. So rather than doing math for decimal feet, I'm just going to measure up to, down to go up. So take this off. So I'm going to go down 2 inches. So right here is our finished floor. Okay, and then I need to go down 31.25 inches from here. So I got to go up to go down. So from my finished floor, going 31. Oh boy, 31.25 inches. 31.25 inches. So right here, that's where my grade bottom of footing is gonna, rather than being so deep with this whole area. This is my garage door right here. So I'm gonna lay out where my garage door is, come over a foot into the garage door on each side, and step up the footing. And then closer to grade. I still, from this point here, I need to be down, well, it's a garage door, so it's not that big a deal. Probably about 14 inches. It'd be a 12 inches down. I need to be at least 12 inches down, buried per code. So at least 12 inches down. it's gonna have a 5-inch slab. So, you know, so if I did a footing of 10 and a slab of 5, all I need to do is be 5 inches down from that asphalt. So 15 inches down from that asphalt. So at some point where I'm gonna lay it out here in just a second, I'm gonna be digging, and I'm gonna step up so that the footing stays 10 inches and then continue on over here so it's higher, and then step back down for this section. But it'll still be continuous, it'll just have a step in the footing. So we'll be down, up, and then down and around. Continue that grade going around until, well, until I'm probably at least 12 inches down for below the grass line there, 12 inches down for the bottom of footing. But my soils engineer, now that I'm just thinking of it, requires me to be 18 inches down. So I got to be at least 18 inches down below that grade, even though I'm going to be building all this up around the perimeter. So as long as I'm 18 inches below grade of after the backfill. So there needs to be at least 18 inches either of backfill or into the ground for kind of more of a stable soil, is what the soils engineer says. So this area here on this corner is going to end up having more steps than what is shown. You'll see later on in other videos. It's just because the top of the footing I want below that grade at that point. So all right, well, we're back at it yet. Yesterday we got a little bit done. Today we're gonna get a little more done, quite a bit. So plan is to be able to stay on this all day today. But we're starting to turn. We dug down that 6 inches below the footing. Now I'm gonna put some gravel back in it, level it out at bottom of footing, as well as keep digging. So you can kind of see the process. Got the Mini X, got the skid steer to haul the spoils out. But right in here, I still got to get rid of this grass, to put some gravel down, and as well as I got a pad footing there, one over there. So I could either dig out the grass first, respray it out, or and that might be the cleanest, best way, fastest way, honestly, is then respray those spread footings. So we'll see what I decide when we do that. But I'll get this all leveled out, and then and kind of do it as I go, because as I'm digging, then I'm backfilling with the gravel. So that's what we're doing, and just more of it. Well, you can see some progress. I decided that I was just going to hog out all that grass area and relay out the pad footings, and probably look at maybe drilling them, maybe that, get a little bit, but after I relay it out. So right here, I, of course, ran into electrical, which I knew, but I don't want it there anymore. I want it 2 foot off the building corner is where I want it. So I actually am going to have to dig out a little further in here to make a nice sweeping bend in it, and then a 90 going up. So and actually a 22 and a half would probably be suffice for this bend, and then a 90 going up. So we want a nice big sweeping bend because of the amount of well, the size of the conductors that are going through it. So well, I guess my mind's playing squirrel again. So I got rearranged right here because I got to dig this little pipe right here. This is for sewer for the guest house. So I wanted to dig it, rather than digging it from the side, I wanted to get it straight on. So I'm going to dig and then put a sleeve through the footing somewhere. I want to see kind of where the elevation of this is. That dictates where that sleeve's going to go, which is going to be slightly higher. And for all the plumbing that's going to be out over there where the wet bar, the bathroom, and the half bath is going to be. So I'm gonna bring the skid steer over and start loading all this up, and eventually once I plumb that and get the sleeve over to it, then I can do all this work out here. So let's get that going. This soil here is a lot of compacted clay, and it is really hard, so this Benny is kind of struggling with a 2-foot wide bucket. After about halfway through, I end up getting a 1 foot with teeth. Well, it's been a whole day that I haven't been filming. We got quite a bit done. We had you can probably see here that we stepped the footing quite a bit. 1, 2, 3. And eventually I'm going to be over here with another step, most likely down in the corner, which might be better for water drainage as well, draining out that area. However, so we had to switch out the bucket because I couldn't get down in this hard clay, cannot penetrate it pretty much. So we got our, it's a 12-inch bucket with teeth. Allows me to get in there, which is good, but at the same time, a 2-foot bucket would be nice to maintain that 2 feet wide that I'm after. So I'm constantly having to make kind of 2 passes. But that's the only, well, it is what it is. That's just how it is, I guess. So at this point, so I'm out down here enough. I'm starting to put the soil on this side because I'm gonna kind of build up this area here to have that water drain out like that. So now I'm not needing that skid steer quite as much. So on that side, I'm gonna go ahead, just for time's sake, we do have expecting rains today, so I'm actually gonna just pile it up out here on this edge, and it's about as much as I can reach anyhow, and get going on that. So there's gonna be several steps in here, and I'm gonna start off with a step. You can see where that kind of spring water's coming in and down, and so yeah, so spring water's following down here the driveway, coming out right here, and very lightly, but hopefully that doesn't cause me any problems. So corners with limited space, just like this one is, because of the batter boards, always are the most challenging. So right here, I start to finish that edge or that side out as much as I can, and then I gotta start turning the other direction. On this corner though, however, is right where I start stepping it down one more time, so that I'm gonna have several steps here because I don't want it getting that higher elevation. So it needs to be after the vegetation's cleared. I need to be at least 18 inches to the bottom of the gravel, and then there's going to be 6 inches of gravel, so 12 inches down from this grade to the bottom of my footing. The grade around it's going to be much higher, so I'll have that 18 inches of coverage that the soils engineer requires. All right, so we got the footing all dug to there, and I got one step right here, and another step, another step, another step, because shoot, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and around the corner 5 feet. Jeez, it's gonna be lots of steps. Part of what the soils engineer requires us to do is put 6 inches of gravel underneath the footing. So here we are. I got the mini up here and spreading out some gravel. You know, it's better than shoveling by hand. So now I'm gonna level it out so that I can compact it with the plate compactor and work my way around, filling that to, you know, back over to there with the gravel. It is supposed to rain this afternoon, well, it says today. So I guess I'm trying to get this gravel back on so that if it does rain, that it doesn't cause me any problems with mud and that sort of thing. So All right, partner.
That was fun.
Nice job. All right, so back now on the other corner. And so we got the right where the garage door is going to be. And then we got one step going down to it so we can make sure we have the length we need for our S bolts, I think it's SSDB 24s, I think is what it is. And then so I want to do one more step here, and the reason being is when my little driveway here, I don't want a footing, like just the top of the footing shown, so I'm going to step that down there and carry that out for a ways. So well, we got all of the continuous footing dug, and it rained a whole bunch last night. Probably, it probably rained an inch and a half in a very short amount of time. So consequently, with all this mud, or with all this clay, you know, it winds up in a footing like this, you know. So we got it all dug, and then I'm backfilling with some gravel. This here, I got to pump this out and let it dry out, and then put some gravel in it. And foresight, this is a pretty good thing to see. All the water that flows under the driveway, and then it makes its way into this footing down to this low point. So later on towards the end of the project, I need to dig a trench from here going down quite a ways until it gets to daylight, so that all of this water during the rainy season can drain out and not just stick around the footing and build up pressure and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the footings go, the last things that I got these pad footings out here that I need to dig. I'll use a post hole digger and then finish it out with the old-fashioned D1 shovel. Yeah, so that's to come. Yeah, so at least that's done, and it's compacted. This half of it's compacted. That side I gotta let it dry out. I don't want to compact it when that ground underneath is so wet, because then it just starts mixing. It doesn't make a good compaction. So yeah, so that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed, you know, this part of the process, switching from one bucket to the next. So a lot of things. So like always, when you're out there working, even on your own, make sure you're being safe out there. What do you think, George? Yeah? You like construction? Say yes. Yes. All right. Definitely. See you next time.